Hey, good morning, everyone. It's so funny. If you ever try to use Facebook Live with the Zoom, I can tell you the one thing you don't know is when it goes live. So I believe, Tom, we're live. You'll have to be the one to tell me that. I'm going to just talk for a couple seconds, let you do your magic at your end. There's a technical aspect of this that we try not to share with you, but today we're going to let you in. So I'm Bob Graham. That's Tom Brush. We are two. I was going to say two schmoes.
No, we're not.
Okay,
Close.
close, close. We're two guys that both help people in various ways. A lot of coaching, a lot of training, a lot of just helping people achieve the results they're looking for from different perspectives. Tom works with a lot of nonprofits. I work with a lot of small businesses. We both work, there's crossover for both of us. We also have been friends for about 10 years and really in the last year or two have looked for ways to partner on things. And this was what we came up with. So Tom, it's Friday. I've got my purple on because I live in Baltimore and it's Purple Friday. So I'm trying to create normalcy in my life. And our topic today, as you know, what you tell us about the topic because you brought it up.
Oh, well, you were talking about meditation and talking about things that we heard. And I heard this yesterday and it struck me. It was that agreement provides total control or just control. And I thought about that a lot. And because it was interesting, there's a group of us and we were discussing like how people were feeling, and there were people who were like doing okay. And there were people who were struggling. And there were others who were like, I'm feeling good at one moment, the next moment my pendulum swings over here and I'm doing not well. And I think it was just an interesting discussion. And one of the people offered this insight.
Just
And
remember, Tom, sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
remember I told you the one thing you have to remind me? You didn't remind me at the right time.
dude, I
So
reminded you before we started. What's
that's
up?
not when it matters. So just so you know the backstory here, that we have two ways we can do the screen. We can have it so you see one of us who's talking, or you can see us both at the same time. And it's better if it's both of us. But I seem to have an inability in my mind to allow that to happen, which is why when I get my own TV show, Tom, I will have a production crew. And
That's what
therefore I
we
won't
need.
have to do the yes. I'm not I can't do all these things. I'm trying to be witty and topical and all that. And I don't think Ryan Seacrest is pushing the buttons to get the cameras to work.
I don't believe. I don't believe so. He
Okay,
get paid
so
way too much for that.
that's right. So back to where we were. I'm so sorry. You've got
No,
stuff going on the side. I can see you checking. Is something going on? You
no,
keep
just
looking off.
stuff. Just looking around. Sorry.
Okay. No, I didn't know if something was like if someone had invaded your space or
No, no,
okay.
not at all.
I
Not
love
at
when I
all.
get you a laugh. That's the best part of this for me.
Take a deep breath. Woo. Yeah. So did you set it so that we can both be seen?
Yes, we've both been visible for the last minute and 20 seconds. Not that anyone really wants to look.
Well, in that last minute and 20 seconds has not been very good. So we got to recoup. No, so it was just interesting, because people were all over. I mean, how they're feeling, what they're doing. Some people are stressed because they feel like they should be doing work, but their families need them and they've got young kids. And others are feeling, like, yeah, I really want to move forward and I got exciting things, but I'm struggling with just the enormity of what's going on. And I think, um, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday. So this is maybe a good follow up is that, we don't have to be responsible for all of it is one thing. We just do our little piece. That's all. If you look at the whole big picture, yes, it's overwhelming. But if you just say, what can I do? Well, I wash my hands. I stay away from people. That's how I'm making my difference. And so how do we get comfortable with that? And how do we accept that that's where we are, depending on who you are? Some people are here. Some people are way over here. We're all in different places. But I think that's saying is that if we can get an agreement with ourselves, that now we can control where we are and how we're doing. We can't control what's going on around us, but we can control where we are. So it was just an interesting statement to me. And the person kind of leading the discussion asked us all what we thought about that. So now that I've talked for a while, what do you think about what does agreement provides control mean to you, Bob?
Well, let me tease a little bit out of what you said. You said when we get agreement, do you mean we collectively or we, the me, I need to agree to certain things myself.
That's the individual. That
Okay,
when we as
'cause
individuals,
okay, that's what
yep,
I thought that was your distinction because, I think that's part of what we're doing here, which is you and I individually and collectively agreed that we wanted to do something to help people. We wanted to start the day fresh and create a space for growth in this difficult time. Whatever that looks like, growth can be, oh, I never thought about agreement this way, or growth is just you're listening to us be complete knuckleheads for 12 to 17 minutes and you go, you know what, they made me smile, or I hate the two of them,
they
and
are knuckleheads.
whatever. And I want to say, Tom, I'm looking. I've got a comment from Erin. Says, "Good morning." Hey, Erin. Good morning. I know she's up in Pennsylvania working from home, and she's having a good time. I'm sure she's got some kids, and I know her husband goes to an office and work, so she's probably working herself on agreement all the time. The agreement that I've got to be an employee doing my job, and I also have to be a mother working with my kids. And I think for a lot of people, that's the friction point of agreement. Where do you draw that line? Because as you know, I'm lucky I don't have children in that regard, but there are times when your kids demand of you when you want to be focused on other things. And I think that's what we're starting to see. And I think in this first week and a half of this, it's been easier for people. I think it's going to get more difficult as we move forward because it's going to become less comfortable. There's a
Right.
novelty to all this right now. And I think that's where the agreement, to me, what agreement really is what is your moral compass? What are the things you're going to be today? And how are you going to show up? And if you agree with yourself that that's how I'm going to show up, then the rest of it falls into place. So
Yeah,
it's really being conscious about who and what you are.
yeah, and accepting that, and once you accept it, now you are controlling the situation, and that's what we, what it's funny because when I thought about it, to me, I thought of agreement as like a contract, and so it was a contract with myself to say, I'm signing that this is where I am today, and I'm okay with that. And I don't have to be something else or somewhere else, or I can be okay with where I'm at. And actually, there was a book, and I'll have to get it and I'll put it in the comments, that talked about these different stages. And we just have to be able to accept that today I'm angry. Okay, if I'm angry, maybe I can do whatever the next step is. And maybe it's guilt or blame.
Right.
So instead of being angry, I'm going to blame somebody else. And I can figure out how to do that. And that's at least moving me closer and closer to joy or happiness or whatever. Because for us to go from like anger to joy is a huge jump to make. And you
Sure.
probably can't stay there. So if you're battling at home, like I have the joy of being with my family, but then I've got to get, I'm worried because I got to get back and do my work. You either can say, that's okay. I'm okay with that. And that's the space I'm going to live in, is that I can spend time with my family and that's good. And I can also do work and that's good. And because there'll be other days when you're
It
like,
also may be necessary.
it may,
If you have young kids, you have no choice. They're
correct.
not going to entertain themselves from 9 to 5, no matter how many videos you put in front of them.
Right. And you
They
can
just aren't
choose.
self-sustaining.
Yeah. And you just have to understand that that's okay. And be, because I think what happens is when that friction comes of, I should be doing this, but now I'm doing that, or vice versa, or I should be doing work, but I'm just, it's weighing heavily on me today and I can't. We just have to be okay to say, great, I'm struggling today. So what do I need to do to take care of me in the moment? Have that agreement with yourself, and now you can control it.
And it looks like, Tom, I'm looking at Erin's comment. She commented, it looks like she's made an agreement with herself because she says, I'm definitely not as productive as I can be when the kids are in school.
Yeah,
And just
and
accepting that versus I need to become more productive even though my kids are home. And that acceptance of that agreement with herself that that's just the way it's got to be. And that may mean that she has to do some work in the evening, or she may have to work over the weekend, or she may have to go to her clients and just say, hey, here's the situation. It's going to take an extra day or two for me to deliver that thing. And everyone knows what this is like. I mean, we're all going through it. This is not like, I've been the one who was working from home when I was sick a couple of times. And then you feel like you're the only person slacking.
Yeah.
Well, here we're all in the same boat. Every one of us has some issue because we're totally displaced.
Right. Right. And it's funny. My feeling yesterday was, I feel like I'm trying to do too much.
Yeah, you said that in the morning.
Yeah, and I just feel like there's so much I could do. How do I do it all? And so I shared that, and the person said to me, "Well, maybe that's okay." And that's, I think, when this whole agreement thing came up, is like, maybe right now, because I'm not running out to meetings or I'm not going to networking events in that way, is that I have the capacity to do that. And she said something that was really good, that I'll share. As long as where you're at is not harmful to your health, harmful to others, harmful to a relationship that you have, then go ahead and do that. So if right now I am not hurting my health, hurting my relationship with my family, spouse, friends, or impacting my business, that's okay. And it's okay to be in agreement that I can move 100 miles an hour and not have this friction about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Tom, I'm going to throw another comment at us. Our friend Peter said, great topic or good topic. There are times when I, speaking for myself, would substitute flow for control. For example, by naming my emotion and accepting it, I am better able to flow with whatever the day brings and remain within myself. I can't control what's coming. We can only control ourselves. And I think that's much more the Eastern philosophy, the Buddhist, Zen part of things, which I know Peter is a real believer in a lot of that. And I think it really does apply here. If you take the word agreement or change control to flow, then that suggests that something's washing over you.
Yeah, it's a very interesting concept. I mean, the whole idea of flow is fascinating to me, because it's not like hard stop, hard stop, hard stop. It's like, yeah, we kind of just, have to move with wherever we are at, and we control it a little bit, but also it kind of takes us sometimes where we want to go.
Well, it's funny. My meditation this morning, it was all about things are flowing. Abundance is flowing through you like a river. Prosperity is flowing. Success is flowing. And often what we're doing is we're swimming upstream when we do better just to go, hey, you know what? Go with the flow.
Wasn't that a saying somewhere way back?
Right.
Just go with the flow.
But I like that, because what you said was we take control and control the flow. I think what this is advocating is the idea that the flow and the control is out of our hands no matter what.
Right.
So we can embrace what's coming at us, which means the opportunities are coming at us each day. If I go, oh, I want to do this, I've got to do this. Whatever I do, I've got to be smarter than Tom on this thing today. Maybe I'm not meant to be the smarter person today. Maybe I'm the person to listen and learn. And so by stepping back and letting things just unfold the way they're meant to unfold, out of my control. Not to say we don't, I don't care. But if it's going in a direction, and I think you and I have seen this, part of what makes us good when we're together and dealing with things is there's a synergy. One of us or both of us get the other in a place where it's like, hey, you know what? What's the goal?
Yeah.
Okay, the goal is to do this thing. Okay, how can we achieve that best? We're not going, hey, whoa, I want to be the guy with the great idea. No, I want this. We worked on something this week, and I was helping you, and at no point in that was I going, oh, geez, I'm giving my great gift to Tom. I really shouldn't do that because he's going to make more money than me from it. It was all, I can help Tom, and Tom will help me, and however that works out. And I think in this time when we're so out of control, collectively and singularly, I think it's really a time where maybe that idea of flow is the way to think about it. And that, how can we just I don't want to say kick back and take the inner tube and just roll down the river, but in some ways, maybe kick back, grab the inner tube and roll down the river. And who knows, maybe you go a whole lot further without paddling.
Yeah. Well, and I think the key part of that is we have to be in agreement with ourselves, or like you and I, we know that we're going to get together and there is definitely going to be a flow to the conversation.
Yeah.
We never know where it's going, or we don't always have, sometimes we have like a purpose, but usually it's just like, let's get together and talk, and we go with that flow. And I think we have the agreement that we're good, that if one day that flow is going more towards something you're focused on, great. If it's going more towards something I'm focused on, great. And that, we are in agreement with that. Like if one of us was sitting there being like, oh my God, I keep spending all this time talking about Bob and his stuff and, right, I'm not in agreement. And so that is going to weigh on me, and I'm not going to be as present as I could, and I'm not going to find the value in it that I could. So,
and it would probably affect the value to me and how I perceive it as well.
yeah, because I probably wouldn't share everything that I'm thinking, because I'd be like, oh, let me hold this back because I
Or
don't
you're
want to give
looking
this to
down and it's
Bob.
like, Tom, hey, you with me here?
Yeah,
And you're going, oh yeah, Bob, sure. What were you saying? Right? I mean, but I also think we're emulating that, as I think about with this, because how much time do we spend before this talking about what we're going to talk about? I mean, maybe 80 seconds, if it's more like 8.
not as much time as we try to make sure that we got the technology set up. So,
Right. But there's a flow to this, right?
no
There's
doubt.
no way we could have predicted this would have gone this way, that Peter would have given us that great comment that led us in a direction that I think was great for us to go down.
Absolutely.
And I'm open to that. You're open to that. And I think that really makes it much more fun, rewarding, and I hope successful to people, because I think they're seeing us really wrestle with these things in real time. This is not like we scripted it out and go, hey, make sure that your flow is perfect and that you are in complete control of yourselves
Right.
at all times, because that is the path to prosperity.
Yeah, and I think that's, to me, we are in agreement that yes, we have a thought of how we're going to start it. But the beauty is that others pop in with information. I think now that we've gone to Facebook Live, we've gotten feedback, and it's allowed us to take it wherever it wants to go, which I think is
Right.
great. Not just us telling us what we think people want to hear. It's us starting, and then others sharing what they're thinking, and how do we go with that?
Which is releasing control.
Correct. But we're in agreement.
And absolutely. And no, I think it's a great example of it. And I think the takeaway for me today is, how can I emulate that in other I've used that word twice. That's a good word, apparently.
That's
Do
the
that?
word for the day.
How can I do that in other parts of my life? And that's everything from a call to someone who is a client or was a client, and knowing that they've got concerns about paying their bills, and giving them the space to have whatever discussion is going to emerge, even if it's a discussion of, Bob, you know what, the first is coming, I just can't pay you, and being okay with that because that's what it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Versus the other extreme, where I was coaching someone yesterday out of the idea they're trying to get sponsors for a conference in the fall, and they were going on as business as usual. And I said, I'm really struggling with that idea. I got to be honest with you. If you called me and said, hey, Bob, I know you're going through a tough time. Are you still going to sponsor us in September? I'd be really upset, really frustrated. And so part of that agreement is being realistic to the day and time.
Yeah, I know we're going way too long. Sorry, but I think this is an interesting point, because I'm having those conversations with my nonprofit, the clients, and just people I'm connecting with, because I think they're scared to ask. And here's the thing I'm telling them is,
hey, Keith, thanks a lot. Appreciate you liking us. Sorry, jumping in because I want to keep the engagement going. Go ahead, back.
Appreciate that. It's good. No,
Thought you'd like that.
Yes. That here's the thing is that if that person was reaching out to those sponsors solely for the purpose to ask how they are doing, how is business, how are you doing, how are you doing personally? Because in reality, we should be checking in regularly with our clients, the people we're connected to. And usually within the first 2 minutes, you're going to know whether or not that person's doing okay, how their business is going, and how this whole situation is impacting them. And based on that, you might still be able to say to them and have a conversation about the sponsorship. So here's what's going to, because my feeling is if you're talking to somebody that you're connected to and engaged with and have a relationship with, once you ask how they're doing, what's the next question that's going to come up? What is their first question?
How are you doing?
How are you doing?
Exactly.
And then you have the opportunity to share where you're at. And part of that might be, I've also, I'm struggling, I'm worrying about this conference or this presentation we're doing and when I should reach out to sponsors and when I should talk to them. And that person might be like, yeah, I was thinking about that. So I think that we have to be there to support the people where they are at and understand that some may be ready and some are definitely not ready.
Well, and I said to this person, I said to her, this is a call and I'm not charging you for this call. I called to check on you. I was worried about how things were going. If I suddenly said to you right now, hey, I have the solution to this situation for you, but it's going to cost you $2,000, she'd be like, I can't pay that right now. I'm not even sure I can pay my bills. I was like, and that's exactly what you need to be aware of with everyone you talk to. And it's funny because when we dissected it, she said, the weird thing is, I know this. The person I am is the person you're describing, but she felt pressure from higher ups that she had to make her numbers for the month.
Right.
And I said, that's a different discussion. You're not going to make those numbers. Well, the board's going to be upset. And I said, you're not going to make those numbers this month, but maybe in August.
Right. Maybe it increases at the end. But here's what I would say is that we just need to be open and willing to respond. If somebody says, if that person says, yeah, I'm doing okay, and actually, depending on the business you're in, it might be a really good time. Not that people are taking advantage of it. If you're in the grocery business, you're making a lot of money right now.
Sure.
And so they might be like, look,
liquor store.
Yeah. I was like, I can pay for the sponsorship now because I don't know what it's going to look like then. And so I think as long as we are open that if they say to us, I really need this help, that we're comfortable saying, great, this is how I can help you.
Yeah.
I just think we have to be open. We have to be empathetic. We have to be understanding. And if we approach it as how can I support you? If it happens, it happens.
Which is going back to that core agreement.
Yeah.
If you agree with yourself about who you want to show up as each day, regardless of the external pressures, it takes care of itself.
Yep.
The answers come. You've seen it. I've seen it.
The universe will be there for us.
This is way more serious than we usually are, Tom.
Especially on a Friday morning.
I know. I thought we were going to do a celebration kind of thing, that we got through another week of this chaos, but apparently we got into the flow of something more serious. So I don't think that's a bad thing. It's probably just, it's going with the flow, right?
It is going with the flow, and that's where the flow took us today.
That's it. So we will be back on Monday. If you want to describe to us how you're going with the flow or how you're struggling to go with the flow, we'd love to get your feedback. The more dialogue we have, the better this is. With that, Tom, we are going to say goodbye. We'll see you all Monday morning, bright and early, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time.
Go out and make it a great day, everyone.
I think you're stealing that from someone.
Maybe.